Okay, here we go. Made it. Went to the potty. Checked on the babies. Water now. Nothing but water. Part two. Nightcap's gonna be a little bit longer, but not eating healthy. Eating some of the kids' candy. Three Musketeers used to be my favorite back in the day, and Milky Ways I've never really liked that much, but I tried one. And then Snickers. Snickers are pretty good. And then Reese's peanut butter cups, because why not? I like Reese's, but my wife loves these too, so I can't eat them all. So Milky Way is the top 5 candy bar from Michael. I'm already going to get behind in the comments. I know that already. But a lot of people like Milky Ways. So I don't know. I thought, what was the movie? This is the end. You know, like the end is coming. But then they had a Milky Way they had to fight for. I thought that was really funny, and it made me want to eat a Milky Way. And when I tried, I went, "Oh yeah, they're really not that good." I don't know. I should like one. The Milky Way darks are okay, but that's because I like anything with dark chocolate. Um. Oh shoot. Oh well, it's too late now. Just gonna text him. Oh well. One of my oh, one of my favorite games got delayed. Well, reprint got delayed, and I wrote a. I know the publisher's reading, so I wrote a slightly offensive post for them. Like I just told them they were just idiots for waiting this late in the game to get this thing ready. They just sat on it, and now they're having production issues at the last minute. And I said, ugh, you guys are. I said, you're embarrassment. You're hurting the designer. You're hurting people. You'll never sell these games. And I've already pre-ordered it, so I have a right to gripe. But at the same, and I told them that too. I said I pre-ordered and everything, but I'm just saying, you guys are morons, morons, and y'all should do better. Oh, one of my favorite shows is ending after season 12. Letterkenny. It's like an R-rated. It's like an R-rated. Um. Oh, what is it? R-rated. Napoleon Dynamite is what it is. So now everyone defending Milky Ways in there. I would Stig. I would take Norwegian chocolate. I bet it beats anything in the U.S. My buddy Kevin from Germany, who lives here now, and he said, "What do you like?" There's a lot of things he loves about America, but our chocolate sucks. He hates our chocolate. He said, "Your chocolate is terrible." I said, "Really?" He said, "It's garbage." uh, man, a lot of love for it. Um, so yeah, Letterkenny's Canadian. Yeah, is rated third in the world. A, well, that's nice. Yeah. Um. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. And Kevin's trying to get his family to send him some German chocolate, and they probably already have. I haven't seen him in a couple of months, but and the reason his name is Kevin, I found said that's an odd name for a German. He went, my mom loved Home Alone. And decided to call him Kevin from Home Alone. I was like, shut up. That's so good. I want to have him on my podcast. Oh, we just haven't had the time. Oh man, hold on. All right. Oh really? I bet. I bet. I don't know how expensive it is now, but if you know the game Unmatched, Unmatched is based off an old game called Star Wars. No, yeah. What's the name of that game? Hold on. It's called Star Wars Duels. Star Wars Duels. If you can find an old copy of Star Wars Duels, that's very simple to play. And people would love it because the figurines are colored, the minis are colored, and the game is fairly simple. It's just a battle. It's a little bit more. There's some strategy when you play your games and what you do and what cards you play and what combos you do with your cards. But it's fairly simple. I don't know how it used to go for like 75 bucks, but I think you can find it for like 65, 50 bucks, which is okay. Especially the figurines look really good. And it's a game, it combines episodes 1 and 2, because 3 hadn't come out yet, and then episodes 4, 5, and 6. So you can have all these different matchups. But I don't, like I said in my last stream, I don't really like Star Wars board games that much, but that's a good one. I mean, and then Star Wars Risk. Star Wars Risk is Queen's Gambit Light. You'll never be able to get a copy of Queen's Gambit unless you're willing to drop like 600 bucks. Or rob Brian Borg's house one day because he has a copy. I have a copy too, but we play it all the time. But that's a great game. But that game costs so much. They rethemed it for Star Wars Risk. It's a light version of it, but it's still a fun version, and you'll love it. But if you ever play Queen's Gambit, you will not like Star Wars Risk. But for the average person, it basically is the last half hour of Return of the Jedi. You're playing all these things. And get the black edition if you can, because I hear it has some minis that go with it, which is really nice. Some Death Star and ship minis. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Epic Duels. Thank you. Yeah, like awesome minis. Okay, so I invited a few lists of guests that I wanted to have on here. I haven't seen this guy in a dog's age. I'm kidding. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good. Well, we're having a few other people join too later on, because there's a few people I didn't get to get on here. I've never played Star Wars Rebellion, Steve, but I have heard it's fun. One of my buddies, Steve, he loves that game. He wants me to play it.
So there's a miniature board game version of that, and there's a computer game called Rebellion. So I was a big fan of the computer game back in the day.
I see.
It was an early version of Empire at War. I tried Empire at War. That came out after I stopped playing video games, and I could never get the hang of it. There's too many controls in that one, but I was right at home with Rebellion. That's a great game.
Yeah. So, Scott, we've hung out now. My favorite moment, one of my many favorite moments, was when we were doing the Fly the Griffin ride, and we were joking about how people just scream on it, and it's not that big a deal. And so I start screaming on the ride.
When we were waiting in line, there was one lady screaming, like right when we were like next up or something. And that's one of the kiddie roller coasters.
Yeah, it's one of the kiddie roller coasters. But so every time we got above the crowd, I was going.
Yeah, we were jam packed in there. I think they told us to sit in the front row because I think you're 6'3", I'm 6'6", so there was not a lot of room.
Tell them about. So we got on the Hagrid ride.
Oh yes.
And there's one person sits on the motorcycle, one person sits in a little cabbie. And I said
sidecar. Yeah.
It's sidecar. Yeah. And Scott goes, well, let me sit in the sidecar. I'm taller, and that'd be better, right? And then they made a switch. They pulled us from the ride and then made us get back on and made a switch. So even though the sidecar you're much lower, they put him at a higher one, and it made no sense why they did that.
Yeah, I was a little nervous because that was a locker ride, and I had the stuff in my pockets because I mean that's a flat roller coaster. You're not going upside down or anything. So I just left the my wallet, keys, everything in my pocket, and since the sidecar like has sides to it, like okay, yeah, I could protect my stuff; it won't fall out. So let me just get the sidecar. And she made a switch, And then I was taller in the motorbike because I'm 6'6", and I felt like in some of those tunnels, if I put my hands up, I would lose my hands in some of those tunnels because there wasn't a lot of clearance there. I mean, it's not a scary roller coaster by any means, but it's like,
no, that's why I liked it.
It's a little unnerving with the clearance and the height, at least for me.
Yeah, Rob, I'm 6'3", but he's 6'6". Way taller than me. Oh, I'm 6'2 3/4", to be honest. But mainly, my brother is 6'3", and he has me by like this much. But yeah, I told him about your Velocicoaster rides. My wife would have loved to have been on those.
I wasn't sure because I'm 36 years old now. Like, can I still do roller coasters? I wasn't sure, and it took me like maybe 20 seconds for my body to get used to it. The first ride, but after that, it was a lot of fun. That is a great roller coaster. A lot of speed.
Well, you and the missus are close to the same age. Y'all have the same cartoons, the same likes, the same everything, and she was worried too that she may not be able to do roller coasters anymore, but she felt that she still had it. And she was proud of that moment. I never had it to begin with.
Your body takes a little time just to get used to it, but after your body gets used to it, it's a lot of fun.
My body automatically said no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm too tall to be a stormtrooper.
Yeah, and I was surprised that your wife watched Nickelodeon growing up, but I guess you were a Disney Channel kid.
Well, you and the missus are more the same age. Okay. That's why y'all had a lot more in common. And because y'all watched all that stuff back in the day. She was a big Nickelodeon kid too. I can't remember what else y'all talked about that y'all had the same likes of.
So it was like Power Rangers, and then a whole bunch of Nickelodeon shows, Alex Mack, Doug, all that stuff, man. That was some great years for TV. I wish we had shows like that now.
Yeah, and Megan was just like bummed that she couldn't come the second day with us.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I even liked the ET ride. I was like, look at this. We went on the ET ride because it's an EU ride. Because ET's in Star Wars.
I didn't realize that as we started to ride it. Like you said, oh, it looks like Endor, but yeah, the little green planet. It is an EU ride.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that till we got done. And I was expecting it to be old, and you can kind of tell, some of the props are really old, but they keep it up. Like, it wasn't dirty or anything, or it wasn't run down. It was well maintained. It is what it was in 1990, but I still thought it was worth the time.
Yeah, no, it was worth the time. And Spencer Crilly, who posts on the channel, posts on the website, he got the most stuff. He got the most stuff, the most videos out of us. I kept sending him little videos. Me and Scott did all day long. He got to see like the live version. And the thing is, I should have gone live on YouTube, but honestly, we were off from one to the next. I mean, there wasn't really a time to do a live stream.
Yeah, we had talked about doing it. Maybe if we had some free time later on, but there was like no free time. There was like really no good opportunity to do it. Maybe when we were eating lunch, but I mean, like, we had to eat and kind of go. Like it was on to the next thing.
The fun thing is that I could have just hung out with you without even the theme park, because I just had so much fun talking with you and everything. We had tons of stuff to talk about, and I wouldn't even done it at lunch because we were having such fun conversations. And but he's right. Yeah, we were just like, boom, this one, boom, this one, boom, let's go here. And so it would have been just us talking for a minute and gone. So the little short videos, what we did for Spencer, and we had a running gag from Marcel planned, but never on day one, there was a ton of people out in costume. And day two, there was no one, hardly. But what we were going to do, since Marcel's doing that, series where he focuses on the supernatural encounters, we were going to pose with every like Transformer, Cat in the Hat, all of these people, Shrek, and we were going to say, is this in Supernatural Encounters? Isn't he in Supernatural Encounter? Is this in Super? It was supposed to be an ongoing. We talked about it that morning. In fact, we took the first picture with thing number 1 and 2, and we said, okay, we'll come back. They'll be, but they had Sam I Am and Green Eggs and Ham. They had the Grinch.
Yeah.
They had the Green Goblin. They had the
Wolverine.
All that yesterday, the day before. All these people, and we couldn't find a soul on day 2. Couldn't find a single one. I was like, we tried to get in line for Shrek, but they said line's cut off for now. I was like, what?
And there were like 2 people in line. I was like, I think they just didn't like us because they saw we were adults and they thought we were just like having fun there. But I mean, that's the whole point of taking pictures. We weren't causing trouble or anything. We were just,
I know.
Having
but
fun.
That was supposed to be an ongoing gag for Marcel, and it just ended with a flop, sadly.
Yeah.
But so I loved Steve singing my type of cartoons. Mask was one of my favorite cartoons and toy lines ever. Transformers, same thing. Loved it and loved the toy line. I know Jace in the World Warriors. I used to watch that one. I never watched He-Man because I couldn't get over the fact that he was Prince Adam and all it was a shirt. Was when he put on a shirt, he was Prince Adam. When he had the shirt off, he was He-Man. That made no sense. As lazy writing. I didn't get into it. DuckTales still holds up today as a great 80s cartoon. Hey, Kelly.
Was all before my time, unfortunately. I missed out on all those.
See, Kelly's someone that lives like 30 minutes away from me, and we need to meet up and play games. And actually, we really need to do that. Kelly could have come over tonight. You could have come over tonight, right? Kelly, to play games with me. That should have happened. Then we'd do a live stream.
But the videos we were sending to Spencer was giving us tips on what to ride and where to eat and all these all these Orlando tips. We went to Ollie's. We checked out an Ollie's. It was huge, but unfortunately, it didn't have trading cards. I was looking for Wars TCG. Yeah, I was looking for Star Trek TCG and Wars TCG because some Ollie's have those, and they had a whole bunch of like comics and stuff, like all new Disney Star Wars, nothing. With the Essential Legends collection or was it the Epic collection? But no trading cards at all. That was
it was really a bunch of nothing, but it was nice, but just a bunch of nothing. This is Piper. She's gonna say night night.
Hi Piper. Good night.
Night night. Hey, he was with me and Mama when we went on that trip.
Yeah.
On Mama's trip, he came with us. Is he gonna come down and see us? He is. I didn't know that. All right. Good night, Sweet Pea.
She'll be riding Velocicoaster pretty soon.
Yeah. Hey, reach out to me on the email website, Kelly. We'll make that happen. It's getting closer to the holidays, so I don't know. It probably would be busy for us, but definitely want to make that happen then. So just go to the contact at theexpandinguniverse.com.
So Matt, you said you ordered these or no? You said these aren't for you.
Go ahead. This is a good one to talk about.
Yeah. So there's episode 1. There's 2 kind of choose your own adventure where you create a character and you can actually customize the book and put your character inside of it. Like this one's customized to me. I don't know if I get the glare off.
Yeah, look at that.
And Chris found out there's a website that still sells these. Unfortunately, the other one, it's Queen Amidala and Me. That one sold out, but this one is still in stock. It's pretty thin, and it's just an abridged version of the Phantom Menace. But it's still kind of cool to have. It's from 1999, and they still have old stock of these books that you can create your own custom character. Also on eBay, they were selling the Queen Amidala and Me books, but it's just the artwork, just the hardcover. Oh. Unfortunately, it didn't come with the pages. I bought it hoping I could get the pages with it, maybe print it out myself, but that didn't work out. But it's My Creative Book Publishing. That's the website. So if you just Google that, you should be able to find the website. And if you're interested, you can order a copy. I think it was $10 with another $10 shipping, so it wasn't crazy expensive. That sounds really awesome. Raunchy fan fiction. No, it's all for kids. There's no adult themes in any of this. This is for like 6-year-olds, but it is expanded universe.
Only if you wrote it, Steve. Only if you wrote it.
Yeah, the Queen Amidala and Me book has an original like EU adventure. It's not an abridgment of the film.
Yeah. So keep moving forward. Yeah, my new Wilkins order shirt that I wear every once in a while, I still have it. I used to keep up with it back in the day. I don't much anymore. But if you like wrestling, Prince of the Universe, every once in a while we'll go through every episodes of the dark side of wrestling. I'll still talk about it. Wes is kind of still into it a little bit, so we still talk about it. But I got out of watching it years ago. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now's the time. If you don't have those comics, pick up those Epic collections, because even the Hasbro, the 2002 Clone Wars, I think is supposed to be in the next one, and that was hard to find for a while. So you can get some of these obscure things. Who was ever putting it together? I think it's guy's name is he was at Legends Con. I forget the guy's name, but he knows what he's doing when he's putting it together.
Yeah. What? Okay. So here's oh, let's see.
Uh-oh, there's pictures.
No, he will.
Shield your eyes.
Yeah. So hold on. Speaking of let's see, hold on. There we go. Oh, no. Hold on. Speaking of RPG games, that is what Brian Borg is doing right now. Boom, there we go.
How come we don't get an invite? If it's Star Wars, I would only do Star Wars.
He does Pathfinder a lot. That's for you.
No, I don't think that was the name of the comic editor.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of stuff just kind of goes up over time. It really does.
Some of the stuff goes up, but then other things are more affordable. I find particularly the New Jedi Order, the Sci-Fi Book Club books, even some of the later books in that series are going for pretty cheap, when historically they haven't been. So there's some good prices on some of the New Jedi Order Sci-Fi Book Club versions now.
Brennan, I am reading it, and I'm a little behind on it. Yeah, Steve's done some RPG writing. He sure has. I am on chapter 79. So 847 pages in to the behemoth.
Wow. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to get to it till late November. I think I'm going to read it after all you guys are finished.
Yeah.
God, how was Matt like in person? Did he never stop talking about Ewoks? Matt was great. His wife, amazing. It's so fun to hang out with. I'm glad I made the drive up there to do it. It was an honor to meet him, and we had a lot of fun. No, he didn't talk about Ewoks except for on the ET ride. That was the only.
I did. I felt like we were on Endor. It really was cool to me. I was like, because I turned to him, I said, you could really say this was an indoor ride. You just turn this into an Ewok ride immediately. We'd be on speeder bikes, running away from stormtroopers with guns. You could really turn it on.
Yep. And I should say we also hung out with Ryan Kennel. Ryan's a great guy too.
Yeah, Ryan's really awesome guy too. We'll talk about him in a minute. No, I'm not skimming through. I've been reading it for a full week now. I should be done with it by now, but I'm not. It is a heavy book, but
I feel like you got to give it.
I started it last Friday, I think. So now I've been chewing on it for a week, and usually I can spit books out faster than that. I mean, yeah, it's a bigger book. I'm gonna try to knock it out this weekend, but no, I'm not skimming through it. Of course, I'm not.
Yeah,
Book
it's
three.
one you shouldn't rush.
Pause in every other page to look at Wikipedia, even though I like the appendix in it.
So I remember there was an online article. Maybe Chris sent it to us. I don't know how or when I looked at it,
Someone
but
sent
I
me a
thought
link a
George's
long time ago.
yeah, I thought George's idea was it was back during episode 3 with General Grievous, and he was supposed to reveal that General Grievous was somehow Darth Maul, like he came back to life as a cyborg or something. That's what I remember. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I remember.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. Bring in my third guy there. What's up, man?
Hi. We meet again. Now the circle is complete.
It is
How you
good
doing,
to see
Stig?
you. It's good to hear your voice.
Doing
man.
quite well. Woke up early. It's 5 a.m. in Norway, and it's getting colder.
Well,
So
good morning to you,
it's,
sir. I'm so happy to have you on here.
So thank you. I'm happy to be on with both of you.
Honestly, I used to see him all the time on everything, and I don't see him hardly on anything. Well, Teresa, you'll still appear on there every once in a while.
Mora's channel. We do
And Moore's channel too. That's true.
2 monthly things, but the reason I was on everything was I hadn't learned to say no. It's that simple. People ask
There
me
you go.
come on and talk nerdy about stuff, and yeah, sure. It's 3:40 a.m. I'll be on.
Yeah.
So it basically started affecting my real life too much.
Oh no, I hear you. I hear you. I like Noah. He just doesn't do videos in English anymore. That'd be great. Yeah.
I played Star Wars D&D with Ryan Kennel for back in the day. I did it
really?
through StreamYards, or actually it was Hangouts back then.
Oh wow!
I played with Mandalorian.
Which adventure did you do, Stig? Did you do West End Games?
No, we did the first D20.
Okay.
Real quick, Son of Luke. There were some videos at the beginning, or somewhere around that time, that the audio was so bad I took it down, and I think that was one of them. It was that one. I redid Knight Errant, but I was pissed I had to redo that one. And so after the Knight Errant, I said, if it's crap, I'm going to remove it. And I think that was one of them. There's another one too, on a block of little short stories, adventure journals, that's gone. And there's a third one too that's not there. One of the Boba Fett novels. The sound was just all. Oh, and I found out what was wrong with my sound. It's going to keep happening for a while though now, but my mic would just kind of go really low and then pick back up again. Right, what's going on? The audio and the camera's so old, the audio in the camera's going out. So I got to get a new video camera. I've been saving up all my Amazon points to get this computer program, and now I'm going to have to buy a camera, it looks like, unless Mr. Moneybags Dylan buys it for me.
Moneybags? What do you mean?
Hey, Dylan, thank you so much for not responding to a single playoff or World Series text I sent you. I appreciate that.
Look, I made my shot in the dark, and then they fizzled out, so I had no more.
Dylan, there's like a handful of people I can talk World Series with, and Ryan is not one of them. He's always busy. I'm here texting Dylan the whole time. I'm not trying to bother him or blow up his phone, but I'm like texting him on games here and there. I just want to hear a familiar voice. He's like, hey, so someone had asked on one of my live streams, and I think this would be great, and you have the numbers. Actually, maybe you've done this. Have you run the numbers for every Bantam and Del Rey novel?
Numbers on what?
Like sales, and how long they're on the New York Times list and stuff.
The New York Times list, there is There's a website. If you look up Star Wars New York Times bestsellers lists, there's a website. I forget the guy's name. Someone basically went through all the archives and has all of the numbers for the hardcovers of the New York Times bestsellers list. Now that's actually it's somewhat incomplete because the New York Times archive, the New York Times bestsellers list is a top 25, but the archive only that stays up for more than a week is only counts the top 15. So 16 through 25 on the archives are missing of them, but it does have the stats for everything there. If you're talking about actual sales numbers, to get actual sales numbers, I would I would either need to know someone in the industry or subscribe to a paid service to get that information, and I want to do neither. So
Okay. Okay, just making sure. Thank you, Sam. You're always welcome to come down.
Finding the actual sales number is very difficult because the publishers kind of cheat a bit because they list up units shipped, not necessarily
no, there's
sold.
there's a website service that you can do queries for that'll show you that'll give you relevant sales numbers back to like the 70s, I want to say. I've looked into it, and again, you have to know someone or you have to pay them money to get that data. But that's how we got, for example, there is a website that was talking mainly about the High Republic that basically ran the numbers to compare with Heir to the Empire, and surprisingly, around like shoot, I gotta find this thing now. I want to say like around like 30 to 40% of sales of Heir to the Empire have happened like since the decanonization, which is fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been noticing the EU books vanishing on eBay now. It's harder and harder to find them because I had a bunch of huge sellers that I used when I collected all the books, right?
Yeah.
They have about 20% EU books now. It used to be like 80%. It's all Disney stuff, and the EU books are getting more and more expensive. The hardcover of Plagueis is $60 or more now. 5 years ago, you could get it for 10, and that was considered expensive back then.
Yeah, it was.
It's just I don't know what's going on though. If people are starting to collect them more and more, or if they're just throwing them out because they're not selling because of storage. I don't know. It's one of the two,
Yeah.
I think.
I don't. That's a good question, but I also think that there is more people wanting to get. I see more and more people kind of getting into the EU every day, so it may be one of those things. Now, Quinlan, that was the other book. Gambit, the audio was crap and it got deleted. Never came back. I know it sucks. I don't have that problem now, but I did back then. 6'3". Glad your internet came back on. Yes.
I'm just 5'11". I'm short for a Viking.
According to the Upstream Reviews article, which is about the High Republic low sales, the original Thrawn trilogy sold 15 million as of 2014, and then after the Star Wars extended universe, is how they say it, was jettisoned, it went on to sell an additional 5 million more copies. So 25% of the Thrawn trilogy sales have happened since the decanonization, which is fascinating.
That's also a message, if you think about it.
It is. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
And the box set that came out last year has sold at the time of this article, which is a couple months old now, 13,031 copies.
Wow.
That one, the one with the Disney cover, basically the re-release. They put pupils in Thrawn's eyes on the cover. They couldn't even get Thrawn right on the.
Yeah, I hate those covers. And Rob, I'm not going to ask anyone to get me money for the camera. I need to get a new one anyway. That one's very, very old. Thank you. Because Dylan obviously can't talk to me. Look at this. Crystal Star, best book of all time. We're getting trolled there. That was nice. Been seeing a lot of love from Dark Empire recently. Now you really are trolling. No, Dawn of the Jedi is a terrible place to start. I would never tell anyone to start there.
So these are new subscribers. They might genuinely like Crystal Star and Dawn of the Jedi. Who knows?
Maybe so.
I didn't hate it, actually. It's bad, but I still kind of got a guilty pleasure thing from it. Does that make sense?
No, yeah. Well, I mean, rereading it, it is not a good story, but it does. I got a kick. Obviously, it's. I was always saying it's one of the worst ones out there, but now it's not. What, Dylan? Is this Tristan?
I don't know. I have
No. Tristan, is it really you? There's only one Tristan.
What's something only Tristan would know?
Tristan would know what podcast we did together. Here, let's see what you're sharing.
So this is the website that has the New York Times bestsellers. Basically, this guy asked Star Wars Books if they had it, which is the Del Rey's Twitter. They basically said, yeah, we don't, but someone could probably look it. So he looked it up. This has it broken down by like bestsellers per year. Again, the big problem with this list is, again, the archive only has up the top 15 when New York Times bestsellers list is actually top 25. So anything that fell in the 16 to 25 range isn't accounted for. But he has kept this updated. And then it goes in like for each one, you'll see Return of the Jedi was the first one that made the New York Times bestsellers list. It has like each week and overall position it had, so you can figure out your peak. And then obviously Heir to the Empire here, Dark Force Rising, and then it's so on and so on. And if you go all the way down, I believe he's kept this updated. So he even has, if you want to look at New York Times bestsellers list for new canon books, he has those on here as well, because he has been tracking those. But yeah, that's the website. If you're curious as to New York Times bestsellers list, now again, this is only the hardcovers. This isn't the paperback bestsellers list. So you'll notice, like in New Jedi Order, for example, it's all the hardcovers that made the New York Times bestsellers list, not the paperbacks, because he didn't do the archive, go through the archives on the paperbacks list. So if one of you guys wants to do that, and feel free, but I don't have the time anymore to be doing things like this.
That's incredible.
Could you put that link in the private chat so I can look
yeah, that's really incredible, Dylan.
Some of the Disney books got kind of busted because they ended up on the New York's bestseller list due to very dubious categories. It was the highest selling book for
well, no. So this is hardcovers. This is only New York Times bestsellers list, all hardcovers. Now, the other thing that this is actually a gap in my knowledge, and I think the internet. I've mentioned this many times, but for tracking the actual days books came out in is very difficult, because when you look at the archive, when you look at Amazon, when you look at Wikipedia, when you even search up ISBNs for a lot of the Bantam books and even some of the newer Del Rey books, it'll always give you a date that it came out on the first of the month, right? Which I don't think is accurate. I think what probably happened is that they actually had a release date, but but again, before like digital logging of release dates, like that never got recorded, so everyone just assumed that it was the first of the month when it actually wasn't. Around the time of New Jedi Order, I want to say it was like 2000, 2001, we actually had concrete dates on when books actually came out. And at that point, Del Rey began releasing every single book on a Tuesday, because if you release a book on a Tuesday, it maximizes the exposure that it gets on both the New York Times and the USA Today Top 150 bestsellers list, so that and they've done that pretty much ever since. So a lot of books from the early Del Rey era all the way through the new canon era do also benefit from having been released at a opportune time to get the maximum that you can get from both of those lists, which is another thing to keep in mind when talking about bestsellers when it pertains to Star Wars books.
They also have subcategories. Way more of them now because they have like specific young adult sections and all kinds of stuff. So if you're releasing a book that qualifies for your young adults age 12 to 14, right? And that's the category. If you don't have any competition at that period, you might end up being a New York bestseller. Which is what happened with one of the Star Wars books. Basically became a New York bestseller with no competition. There was nothing.
Well, again, the last one that actually made the hardcover bestsellers list was Light of the Jedi, which did for 4 months before dropping off.
And I'm assuming this is hardcover fiction, right? Or
hardcover fiction, yes. Yeah. That's correct. Hardcover fiction. We don't have paperback fiction. Again, someone's going to have to put that list together, and that someone's not going to be me.
Pretty cool.
I believe he has a list or has a link to the archive, or you can just look up New York Times archive. It is tedious work. I remember the other reason I don't want to do this. I remember looking it up, and like, it's not an archive in like it's like all archived on one sheet. You literally have to click the back button for like each week, and you have to click the back button, look at the list for this week, and then click the back button again to look for the list of the previous week, and do that all the way back to like 1976.
Oh,
wow. Because I know in Meg's videos, when she does book reviews, she tells you how many weeks it was on the bestsellers list, if it was.
Yeah,
and I think most of them were.
I told him.
I don't know where she has the paperbacks. I'm not aware of those numbers being out there anywhere publicly. I'm only aware of the hardcover being aware. She might have more information, so I guess ask her.
I think she does. Her profession, she may have some inside knowledge on that. But that's still very interesting stuff. I didn't even realize that. That's kind of telling, isn't it? This comic has been selling well. I mean, obviously, your Del Rey wouldn't still be putting out more Essential Legends books. They would have stopped that if they weren't selling well. So obviously, they're making.
Yeah, well, I think they raised the prices. Yeah, they are, but they raised the prices, and I think not as many people read now, so maybe there's less competition. I think there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Yeah, and it's actually smart to raise the prices after a while because people have already started collecting, right? So they will pay the extra bucks, not to have an incomplete collection, right?
Right, but I'm just saying, like the Essential Legends collection now, they're like $15, $17 sometimes, and that's almost the price a hardcover used to be.
Yeah,
I think the hardcovers used to be $21.
$70 for a paperback with bad artwork is kind of pricey.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing is the I don't know if you guys have kept up with this, but they recently announced that the Canon Thrawn trilogy, the first of the two Canon Thrawn trilogies, is going to be re-released in the trade paperback size. The same trade paperback size that they've been using for Essential Legends collection and all the newer canon books have. And my guess is that that is going to be the standard and that all of the new canon books are going to be printed in that trade paperback size. And if that's going to happen and they're going to make a uniform size for all of them, and that uniform size has Essential Legends is the same size as Essential Legends collection, I don't see why they would preclude Essential Legends, the Legends books, which is a good and a bad thing because it basically means everything is going to get made into Essential Legends collection eventually. But the bad news is the cheaper mass market paperbacks aren't going to be available in a few years.
Right, with the old covers. And Inkstone Books is doing hardcovers of some of the Essential Legends collections books. They just did a release of Dawn of the Jedi, or you can order it. They haven't made them yet, but I think it's going to be a limited run of hardcovers. So there may be potentially more of those. Those
and
hardcovers.
It's limited to the UK, I believe, that specific printing.
Yeah, so you can order it and send it to the US. So
the Epic collection for the comics, or they're starting with Disney Canon comics now too, like in 2024, because they will be done with the Legends stuff. So they're reprinting the Legends stuff while also starting the omnibuses for the Disney comics. So they're pouring out stuff, both Legends and Disney stuff, really.
Yeah. I think they're almost done with the paperback, comic, the Epic collections, but sometimes they do those omnibus hardcovers that have like 2 or 3 of those. They're really thick, so they might come out with a couple more of those.
I think they'll do all because they did Legacy already, or not Legacy. They did KOTOR already. I think they're going to hit all of the 50+ issue arcs. So like we're gonna see Legacy. We're probably going to see Republic. We'll probably see like
X-Wing maybe.
Was X-Wing 50 issues in total? I thought it was less.
It was probably less, but it had a little bit of extra stuff here and there though.
Tales of the Jedi,
like
I know,
mini series, right? But overall, it was 30 something, I think.
Yeah.
But does that sound right, Steve?
I think so. Yeah. Because
25 was the making of Baron Thale, and then they did maybe 10 or so after that, or something.
Yeah, because the Epic collections has 2 volumes with the X-Wing books, right. And there's like 20 something comics in each. I think
it was 35 issues. I guess that's not counting like the half issue and the Apple Jacks one, but it was about 35.
Yeah. Well, they could do that in a hardcover. It'll just be a little bit thinner. I guess they could do the Tales of the Jedi as well in hardcover. That would be rather awesome, wouldn't it?
Yes, I also think they will, just for the cross marketing of the show by the same name. The show or movie, I don't keep up with what is what. I just know they're using that name for some project. That's why we got hardcovers of the AC Crispin Han Solo trilogy back in 2017.
When the Kenobi show was announced, the hardcover Kenobi novel skyrocketed on eBay. It used to be $2 or $3, and then it was like over 10 immediately.
That's when you're talking about Legends hardcovers, that's on the lower end too. $10.
Oh yeah, it's gone up and up and up and up, really. And now the shipping's gone up too. So if I want to buy the Black Fleet Crisis hardcover omnibus, because I've been looking for that one, it's about $25 to $30 on the low end, but the shipping is almost $40 on my end. So I'm like, I'm not buying that.
Yeah, shipping is just.
What I do though is I PayPal Teresa money, and she buys it on her end because she gets free shipping, and then eventually she'll fill up a box for me, right, with goodies, and ship it over to me. So I'll just pay the shipping, right?
Oh, look how kind Teresa is to do that. That's a good idea too.
I have a henchwoman.
Yeah, just grab a bunch of stuff, then she can package it all in together.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's smart.
One comic shipped from the US now, if I want to buy the original Star Wars comics, the shipping is at least $12 for one comic. So if I want to collect individual comics, right, I'll have to pay about $10 for a comic, and then 10 or 12 for shipping, right? So if it's 1,000 comics, right, and I want to get them, it's impossible.
Yowzer. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I might get really unlucky if I buy something that isn't a book, because books are tax free in Norway, so I don't get import taxes. But if I buy like a Black Series figure or something, I have to pay 35% for the cost and shipping combined, just in import taxes, and then another $20 for customs fees. So a $30 Black Series figure might end up costing me over $100.
Holy cow.
Yeah. It's
Jeez.
our
That is
free
insane.
healthcare does come from something, right? We do pay for it in other ways.
But see, they don't do the they don't print a lot of these overseas either.
No,
That's the problem there. And that's so stupid, because if you're printing them here, why wouldn't you want to do it? You know, you kind of want to, they would sell in other places too. They just don't even want to give it a shot, I guess. I don't know.
well, they do sell the Epic collections and all that stuff, right? But here's the thing: if you buy it in Norway, they have already taxed it. So if it costs like, if one of them costs like $25 over there at the store, it's closer to $70 on my end if I buy it in Norway.
Wow.
Yeah. And it used to be about $35, but in the last year and a half, it skyrocketed. So they're the new ones that are coming out are about $70 each.
You got to have Dylan's money to spend that much.
What money?
Dylan's a high roller now.
Dylan is a high roller. That's why he didn't talk to the poor people anymore. Dylan's got his own thing now.
I have to sell my body at the dock to afford Star Wars stuff. So like if I do it every day for 3 weeks, I can afford like an Ewok figure or something.
Yeah.
Or a Star Wars sticker.
Everything's so expensive now. That's everyone goes, man, I can't believe you have so much to, how much money did you spend? Cover price? Because I got it back in the day. It wasn't really that big a deal. It wasn't sought after back then. So
update on printings, by the way, of the Essential Legends collection. So this most recent wave, I checked again because I have to nowadays. Michael Stackpole's About the Author section is correct on this one. They fixed the issue by shortening it. It's like two sentences now. They didn't, however, fix the inside cover of all his books. They still don't know how the Dark Tide duology works, because they have it as Dark Tide and then Dark Tide on New Jedi Order Dark Tide, New Jedi Order Dark Tide Onslaught, and New Jedi Order Ruin, I think is how they have it. So there's a third Dark Tide book just called Dark Tide, not Dark Tide Siege. And this is the third or fourth Stackpole book that has had this issue within the Essential Legends collection.
that is insane.
They did fix the issue on the Karen Travis front, because on I believe it was either Hard Contact or 000 had Boba Fett, A Practical Man, listed as a Clone Wars novel.
What?
But they fixed that in True Colors.
Isn't that just a short story?
Yeah, it's a short story that takes place during the Yuzhan Vong War. But one of them in the Essential Legends, one of the Karen Travis Republic Commando books in the Essential Legends collection had it listed as a Clone Wars novel.
You know what would be nice is if they printed those short stories along with the paperback stories in a more comprehensive manner than they did before, because not all of those short stories are printed in paperback, and sometimes they were ebook or whatever.
It's interesting you say that. So 000 and True Colors do have the two short stories in them. but they're laid out exactly the same way as they are in the mass market paperbacks, where the short story that you should read between Hard Contact and 000 is at the end of 000, and the short story that you should read between 000 and True Colors is at the end of True Colors. So the short stories are in there, but they're not in the correct reading order if you're reading cover to cover.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So Dylan,
Okay.
look who's here.
Hello, Kirk. Hello, Tristan.
Is it Tristan? Is he talking?
It must be Tristan. He fell asleep on mic again.
He probably stepped away. I just saw him. I was working on something, but that's so funny.
For those of you who don't know, if it is Tristan, Tristan was an old timer on the old Minox Nest podcast. I think he was on some of Legends podcast. Hasn't been as active on the YouTube scene.
No, he's been gone. That's what we're trying to find out. Where this is like an edition of where are they now?
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to figure out.
He's saying he's got to hook up his mic.
Well, okay.
He's saying in the comments.
We know he enlisted in the Navy, and then he was
it is Tristan,
on deployment
man,
for like a few
only
years.
Tristan would show up to a stream and not have his mic hooked up. If so, this will be fun. The man.
I listened to the Minox
Son of Luke knows the king has returned. Oh yeah,
that was one of the only podcasts. There weren't many Star Wars EU podcasts back then. Very few.
Yeah. While we wait for Tristan, actually, while I'm thinking about it, we are going to do an update of History of the EU for 2023.
What?
That's like the most anticipated video of the year. That's big news.
I know.
However,
Dylan, you lead with something like that.
Well, I need help because, like, outside of like Legends Con and like the celebration news, I don't remember all of what happened this year, and neither does Chris.
Oh shoot! If that's all you're looking for, we may be able to help with that.
So yeah, if you guys remember anything big that happened that's not one of those two things, let us know.
Well, I mean, that's a lot there. The release of the Supernatural Encounters.
Oh, that's right, Supernatural Encounters. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, good. When do you expect it to come out? End of the year?
Probably.
Inquiring minds want to know.
We haven't set a date yet. We're both like, yeah, we want to do it, and then we're like, yeah, we'll probably actually get a hard concrete date sometime in like December at the end of the year, and then we made this joke last year that like we'll record it and then it'll come out like action in like 2024, like. So we'll probably record it like the last week of December, and we'll be like, just so you know, if like we're recording this on this day, right? So if in the future, in like a day or two, Kathleen Kennedy resigns, don't go, why didn't you talk about that? Because we didn't know.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're safe at least until January 1st. So.
Yeah, I don't think she's leaving anytime soon.
I saw she got noticed by South Park, which was
yeah. Have you seen that episode, Steve?
Not yet.
That's pretty funny. It's a pretty funny
one.
Where
can I see it? Is it on Paramount, or how do you watch that?
Where is it? You know what? That's a great question.
I know South Park Studios used to always have the episodes the day after they came out. I don't know if that's still the case.
South Park are very fair, I think, because they punch in all directions equally. You know,
they do.
Nobody gets a free pass.
Not on that show.
Tristan saying he's having technical issues. Sorry.
It is Tristan.
I'm having technical issues too. Every couple of minutes, I can't hear what you guys are saying, but it seems to be working for the most part. Yeah, it refreshes and then I have to catch up.
Oh no! My goodness.
I don't know why, because it doesn't do this for me for work meetings. Like the video works fine, but for some reason StreamYard.
Let's see, now he's gone. We're losing people.
The technical issues are affecting us.
Somehow the Norwegian has the most stable internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At like, what is it, like 5, 6 in the morning?
The internet.
Yeah, the culture known for being unstable has the stable internet.
So where have you been, Dylan?
Around, I
Come
guess.
in here, you say, "Hey, we're doing another." I've always loved that series with you and Chris. I've watched them twice, each one, and there's because the fact that y'all knew 2023 wouldn't be that hard, I would think, because y'all remember some stuff that I totally. You think you'd never forget some of the stuff y'all are mentioning, but when you start mentioning, it's like, holy cow, I forgot about that. I forgot about David.
Before we actually like sat down and like recorded that, we put together like an Excel sheet of like all the years breaking down, and we were talking about in like for months, and like the episodic structure of it actually helped, because like we would record one and then like a couple of weeks would go by and we record the next one, and in like, because we had already been thinking about it, we had like, by the time we recorded the next one, we would like remember more stuff that happened, that like we could either talk about later or like that we had to like address. And as I've said many times, it is an incomplete series because we were not there for everything. We don't remember everything. So if you know of things that we didn't talk about, please talk about them. Please do your own retrospective from your own point of view, especially if you were around in those times. It's a collective effort. Preserving the history of the movement is a collective effort. It's not just on myself and Chris.
Yeah, and it's impossible to do an absolute complete version of everybody's experience everywhere. I think different fans have different experiences depending upon what circles you were in, or what series you watched, or what podcast you listened to. I mean, it varies, but I think you guys hit the main points really well.
Yeah, no, I think you did too. I just thought it was so well done, because like I said, there was just so much there that I was thinking, oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, that. And I just kept going, wow. Just so much.
It was, I also want to say, there were many times, and we tried not to name names, especially when it came to more nefarious people, but there were many times when like both Chris and I knew exactly who we were talking about, and like we wanted to say who it was so bad, but we're just like, we kind of need to keep this professional. We should, like, maybe one day in like 10 years, when like when the dust is finally settled, we can have the uncensored version where we like actually say who was doing what, who was behind, because especially for a lot of like the troll or like the smear campaigns that were happening, we know who is behind them. We know who they are, but like we didn't want to say,
Yeah, you can't. It's one of those. I'm sorry. It's one of those things where you don't want to give them any more attention.
Yeah.
Than they deserve. Yeah. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say you could have a good cop, bad cop scenario. So you just have one host like me. I'll just name everybody, and all the blame can go on that person. Because I think it makes more sense. Like things are put in context when you know the names. At least people that were familiar with what happened real time, that were actually around during that time. Because sometimes you forget like who did what or who had what view. But
yeah, and there's also some nuance to it, right? Because a lot of the people who, frankly, did some terrible things and ruined the reputation of the movements, like there were the intentional trolls, but then there were people who were doing that, like who had good intentions, but they just like didn't know the best way of doing things and would get us in trouble sometimes. Like there were not everyone we talked about that was like causing problems were like intentionally causing problems. A lot of people were just had the right mindset, but were just like going about it in the wrong way. And it's hard because this is like you're I'm thinking about some of these people now, or some people had like falling outs. A lot of the stuff with B level, a lot of the people we kind of talked around, or were like people who prior to that were fairly active in the movement, and then because of that happened, did a 180, and it's tough because it's like you want to remember all the good times, but like you still have that sour taste in your mouth, or you want to remember them as like they had good intentions, but they just didn't know how to conduct themselves, you know?
yeah, and it wasn't always about like behavior. I mean, sometimes you're just kind of wrong about things. Like people make predictions and they don't turn out to be true, and that's okay. You know, no one's a psychic; they can't predict the future. But
yeah, true. But I just thought it was just so well done, and that was one of my favorite video series y'all put. Y'all didn't even say anything about it. It just started dropping all of a sudden. I was like, whoa. And I kept asking when the next one was.
That's kind of like my channel. I don't say anything. I just drop a video when I have an idea.
I like your channel. If you want to see by the number stuff, Dylan puts out some good stuff there.
I still don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll just make a video when I have an idea, but it's just I'm not about like putting out content for the sake of content. It's like it's got to be something.
I understand.
You know.
Yeah. No, I get it. So yeah, I guess Dylan just could. I mean, I guess Tristan just couldn't get on. It is Tristan though. Only Tristan shows up but not prepared, and always has some issue with it.
if it was Google Hangouts, it might have worked. Not StreamYard. I wonder if you could still use that.
No, you can't. They discontinued that.
So.
And now everyone.
That's what we used to use back in the day too, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, now that YouTube memberships are a thing, Google like makes like you can gift memberships to people, but unfortunately, if you have a brand account, then like you can't. So if you and like a lot of people who have brand accounts got brand accounts because of the Google Plus days, so that they could stream. So if you had a YouTube account around the Google Plus era, like and made a Google Plus account, you can't get gift memberships now because you're a brand account.
Man, oh man. Dylan, buy me a new video camera.
A video camera? Why?
Because my audio is going out on mine. It wasn't my mics this whole time. It was the actual audio plug into it. The sound is dying. That video camera is dying. You need to get me a new one. Wow. Dylan goes,
Dismissed.
Yep. Sucks to be.
So is it the clip-on microphone that's giving you trouble? Because you have a separate microphone.
I can probably start doing it another way. I just don't want to. But it looks like I'm not going to have a choice. So
how many subs am I at? Like 80?
Well, once Dylan auctions off his couch, he's going to be a millionaire at least. So I mean, he could buy whatever he wants.
Yeah, I know, for real. I don't have 8K subs yet, but I am closing in on it. I might get, if I have numbers like I did in October, I'll get it by the end of the month. And if I get it, I already know what I'm going to do for the celebration. So
I almost
I'm
have 90.
anticipating it either end of this. I'm anticipating it into the month, maybe.
I'm not auctioning that couch, by the way. It's getting thrown out, and I swear I will have a video up of it, of the dump truck driving it away. It'll be
No, what?
unlisted. I'll put it somewhere.
No, no one's raising money for a camera. I've got a lot of Amazon points on my card that I was saving up to get a new computer program, but now it's got to go to a camera. It's okay because Black Friday's coming up. I'm sure someone's going to put some video camera. I don't know if they still sell video cameras. They sell GoPros now, but
GoPros are terrible.
I don't want a GoPro. But I looked at it. I looked at it for a short time. I was like, no, GoPros are terrible. Terribly overpriced, that is. But
Yeah, and they have
no,
like a
oh, go ahead.
they have like a 2-hour battery life or something, and you can't like stream with them
Yeah.
at all.
No, they're terrible. Tristan, how do you not have a mic? I mean, this is impossible.
I got a mic.
Oh!
Hey, there he is.
Wow, dude, I've been trying to get this working on my laptop. It hasn't worked at all.
Oh, classic Tristan. Good to have you back, man.
Classic.
Thanks. Good to be here.
It's back. It's Tristan. In all seriousness, let's get Daniel. Let's do another one.
Oh yeah, I'm game for sure.
Unfortunately, Tim is not with us anymore, and it won't ever be the same. He was a great guy, but
R.I.P.
yeah, really good guy. Really love and miss him. Think about him every once in a while. In fact, whenever I look at Millennium Falcon, that was his first book he told me that got him into the EU, and I was blown away. But he just said, I like the Millennium Falcon. Let me read this. And then he felt like he was missing something. Some of the storyline.
You need to get Josie too to call in from the parking lot of the Burger King on the Wi-Fi.
Oh, if I could get Josie, I don't know. And James, Josie, James every once in a while will get in the chat every once in a while. So I'll hear from him. And Josie, I haven't heard from in years. But I would definitely do that. But I know Daniel comes on every once in a while. Let's plan some time to get Daniel on and do a Minox Nest.
Yeah, dude, I think a reunion would be great.
Oh, it would be great. It's good to hear your voice, man. What have you been up to? Everyone out there wants to know.
Oh, just living the dream in Florida. It's hot as hell and very humid.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Tristan, I was there.
When?
August.
What was going on in August?
I totally forgot.
No, it's all good. I switched phone numbers and then I forgot to text you.
I didn't have your new number. Well, I had two numbers that say Tristan New. I've deleted them both now. I have your new one.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have gotten a hold of you anyway. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. But I was, I'm usually just like an hour away from you when I go there, and I sometimes do head over to that your spot. So you're going to be there next year, right?
I hope not, but probably with my luck, yeah.
Oh, you don't like Florida?
I mean, I like Florida. Don't get me wrong; it's cool, but I don't know. I like to go somewhere where it snows every now and then, like probably Colorado or something.
Oh, so you're gonna try to post out?
I mean, sometime, yeah, but we'll see.
Go ahead to Texas to see the family.
Yeah, actually, I'm going in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Are you traveling I-20?
I-20. I don't know, actually.
Like through Jackson, Mississippi, and Shreveport, and
yeah, I think I hit Shreveport.
you hit Shreveport?
I believe so.
Okay, if you back up like an hour and a half, that's Monroe.
Yeah, I remember stopping through your town, and I remember
Well, you
getting
did it
followed.
like New Year's Day when me and the missus were gone.
Yeah, I was like being followed by a cop, and that was like kind of scary.
Well, anyway, all right. So in 2 weeks, let me know. Text me.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can stop
At the
by for
very
sure.
least, just stop by, eat lunch, or just stop by, say hello, and then go on. I don't want
Dude,
to
that
make
would be awesome.
with the family, but that would be fun. Be fun. Yeah. So the dude texts me like way later on, and it's like the next day. And me and my wife used to go every New Year's Day. We travel down to Central Louisiana and do. Shoot, that was the last year. I know what year that was too. I think that was 2019. Because
2019.
it was the last year we didn't have kids, and we decided to go because we always used to go shopping down there. All the little they have a lot of little antique stores, stuff like that, flea markets, and we do that.
Wait a second. I believe this was like 2016, 2017.
Oh, was it 20? Okay. Well, I know we just didn't have kids because we don't do that
Yeah.
anymore. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Look at that. Tristan. We can bring Dylan on the Minox Nest podcast too.
I was
Scott,
on there a
did you
couple
say you used to
times, I
listen
guess.
to it as well?
I did. I listened to Nathan Butler, Minox Nest, and there was something called Star Wars EU Review. I don't know if that's still around anymore, but those were the three like expanded universe Star Wars podcasts at the time.
I used to.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I used to listen to. Y'all need to help me remember this person's name. I remember I used to listen to a girl who would talk about the Young Jay Knights books at first, but she would just sit there on her bed and talk about how much she loved them. And this is right before Disney had bought Star Wars, announced Episode 7. They hadn't announced that the EU wasn't canon anymore, but once they did, she deleted her channel. Does anyone remember that?
I don't.
But she used to do reviews, and they were so much fun because she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good!" And the reason you should get this book, and blah 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 blah. And she went, "I can't wait for the new movies to come out because they're gonna probably have Jason and Jaina in it, or Jaina in it, and blah 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 blah." And I love Jaina; she's my favorite. I said, look, I'm not a hater. I'm not trying to pull you down. I'm just saying, prepare yourself because they're not gonna keep the EU. Please believe me. I love the expanded universe. I love it. It's the best thing in the world. But they're not going to keep it. And then she went, I just heard a report that Peter Mayhew's coming back as Chewbacca. I guess it's a flashback since he's dead. And I was like, oh no. And then, of course, when it happened, she stopped doing reviews. And then she deleted her whole channel. Like it just crushed her. And I cannot remember her name, but I used to love her reviews. And I used to watch, what's her face? Goodness gracious. Dylan. She's in Twin Sons.
Amelia?
Amelia. I used to watch Amelia's channel too. When she talked about the EU and everything. She did a few videos for a little while. It was not you, son of Luke.
No, an interesting to some of the people who don't remember Minox Nest, who weren't around for them. An interesting legacy that Minox Nest has actually had is, if you've ever noticed on EU podcasts, I know we do this on the Legends podcast, you do this on Civilized Age, the ending off with "What are we reading?" that started with Minox Nest. That was where that came from, and every EU podcast in our circle has like kept up the tradition ever since.
Oh wow, I had no idea about that.
Oh yeah, hey Tristan,
that's cool.
People still know Minox Nest.
I know, that's crazy to me.
It was the most off the rails. What are we doing podcast? Because we'd sit down with believe it or not, we sat down with a plan of topics, and then everything just went sideways. Everything went sideways from the first moment, and then Tim would say something, or Tristan would say something, and then they get into a fight. and Daniel would do his Joker impersonation for no reason. And
Daniel's intro.
Whenever we get on,
dude, Daniel's intro is goated.
It's legendary. It is like, as soon as you hear "Hello and welcome to the Minox," I can't do it, but like you know what I'm talking about.
And welcome to. I can't do it either, but only Daniel can do it.
Joker here, and what was it, Captain Gonzo?
Captain Gonzo.
What did Tim call himself?
I can't remember.
Was it Love Commander?
Love Commander, yes.
And the Love Commander. but Daniel asked us, what do we want to call each other? And the Ewok. and then there was that podcast where we just could not. I was just done because we were so far off. And I was just going, oh, just please end this. And then right as we're about to wrap it up, I said, guys, let's just wrap it up. And then Edward goes, guys, Robin Williams just died.
Oh my God.
I didn't know what he was talking about. But Edward the whole time was not paying attention. He was surfing the internet. And he heard that Robin Williams has died. So he thought it'd be important to include that in the podcast.
And Tim kind of snapped at him a little bit too. Can't remember what he said. He was like, what the and then just kept on going on with this agenda.
The best one, this is funny, because I remember we stopped the podcast and it was the infamous rant, Tristan, if you remember this.
19 and 19
I went
and a half.
off on Dave Filoni.
Oh no, okay, yes.
And Tristan was like, no, it wasn't recording. I said, that's okay. I don't want that to go anywhere.
That's the best.
If I'm exaggerating, please call me out. All right. But I believe I went on for like 20 minutes.
It was something like that, yeah.
And I was digging pretty hard because I was very salty at Filoni. This is back, Dylan, when he got exposed, trying to be an EU fan and then didn't. And I was like, this faker here. And I can't remember all I was saying, but I mean, I repeated because Tristan wanted me to do it again because it wasn't recording. And I was like, I can't do that again. So that's what that was the quote. I love pictures, especially when they move.
Yeah.
But that was part of the original rant. And then I said a few other things that were good quotes from it, but I didn't have the umph that I did for those first. I mean, honestly, I think it was like 20 minutes of me just ripping in to Filoni, and I was super salty, super.
Dude, you were swearing,
and everyone was laughing, on the podcast. I honestly don't remember all that I was saying. And then I heard Tristan go, no! I was like, what? He went, no. Oh, guys, it wasn't recording. I was like, well, we can start again. Do it again. I said, I can't. I was just ripping. I'll do a little bit of it, but I can't do it again. And there were so many times we recorded a whole episode that got lost. I don't know how, but the whole episode was a wash.
Yeah, I remember. I felt so bad because I remember Django was on one of them, and the recording just didn't save or something like that.
Oh, and they're terrible. They're terrible podcast. I think they're terrible podcasts. I like what you said, Dylan, though, on y'all's review. Going, it just felt like it's just a bunch of guys just sitting around talking about the EU. Yeah, but a bunch of guys who, two of them have Tourette's, and the other, and all four of them have ADD, and so it's like, all of them need to take a bowl full of Ritalin before they say anything coherent.
All I'm saying, right? I think it says something about the 2014-2015 era of EU YouTubing when Minox Nest was peak EU content.
Yeah. Oh man, it suddenly looks like I'm binging all the episodes now. No. We did.
That's another thing. Unfortunately, like half of Minox Nest is no longer available. They've been taken down for
taken
good
down
reasons.
for good reason.
Oh yeah, because I want
to not safe for work stuff, non-PC stuff. I mean,
there are a couple episodes that are the reason that the participants can never have a political career.
yeah.
That's very true. There. Well, I will say one thing. They are somewhere, but I'm not gonna say where. If you know, you know.
I know where they are too, but I didn't spill the beans like that. Yeah, they're saved somewhere, but we're not going to release them. Heavily edited versions. I mean, Tim was some of the worst, but yeah, it was pretty bad. I remember one. I can't say it. They were so bad at times. But what was the? We did a reunion with Tim once. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
A couple of years back, because we brought Tim on, and right before he passed away, I was gonna do. We were gonna do one that Christmas, that when I was off. We were gonna record one. Well, Tim had passed away, and I don't think anyone knew. And
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I found out by looking at his Facebook because I'd hit him up on Skype like a couple times. I was like, "Hey, yeah, what's up, man? I'm gonna be back in the States." And then, yeah, I come to find out, like on his Facebook, that happened.
Yeah, we found
Yeah.
out like I want to say like a month or two after it happened. So.
Yeah, but I had reached out to him in December. I said, "Hey, man," I said, "here's my dates. Just let me know what works for you, and we'll get the gang together." Because Tim was, you say this after someone passes away, but he really was kind of the heart of it all. He's the one that kind of brought the whole thing together, because they reached out to me. I knew Tristan first. Tristan was one of the first people I got to meet, and but Tim just said, "Okay, let's do it. Come on, let's go, guys, let's get this done." And so I said, "Tim, just let me know." And he was already gone by then. I didn't know. So I think I found out like 3 months later. You said you found out a month later though, so maybe because I think you told me, right?
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, we found out in like January, February, I believe.
Yeah, we found out in February, but he had passed away when? December
22nd.
Yeah, it was
December 22nd. So he was still alive back then. He was just sick because he was in the hospital supposedly for a long time. But I'd sent him an email while he was in the hospital. I didn't know that. So he was still alive was the thing. Okay. He was still alive, but I didn't know he was in the hospital. And to be honest, knowing Tim, he probably didn't think it was that bad because he'd been in and out of the hospital several times.
I think he had
he even talked about that on the last podcast we did.
Yeah, he had a heart attack. I want to say in like 2017, 2018-ish. Oh.
Yeah, he had a bad heart and everything. There went. Yeah, we so he was in the hospital. And I guess that's why he was just not checking his email. But he didn't reach out to me, and of course I got busy doing other stuff, so I didn't think about it. I thought I'll reach out to him first of the year. We'll do something. And I'd forgotten. And then finally, February rolled around. And that's when I think Tristan reached out to me and told me. I was like, I think my email to him was like December 10th or something, or 12th. I can't remember. Sometime like mid-December, because I had like 1 week left at work, and then I was going to take the next 2 weeks off. And so I was just letting him know. So just let me know when you want to do the podcast. Because do you remember that, Tristan? We were going to do something around the holidays because we all had time off.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I talked to you about it. We had talked about doing something, but I told Tim we'd do something around that around Christmas, but after Christmas or something when everyone was kind of off and stuff. But when he never responded back, I got busy doing other stuff, obviously, and then said, well, I'll just reach out to him first of the year and we'll plan something then. But it's too late by then. And yeah, he was a good guy. So yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, he was always the one that would kind of take charge and then get us back on topic whenever things would go off the rails sometimes.
Yeah. Golly, but it was so funny when you and him got at it. He'd say, Tristan, you lost your damn mind. What are you talking about?
I know. Talk about like two people who couldn't be more different getting along on a podcast. Well,
but then they always agreed to come back the next week.
yeah.
It was like, no, as the nastiest things were said to each other. And then they just come back to another video. We'd go back to another podcast the next week. And it's like, and then they start up again. What are your favorite Minox Nest moments? I gave mine the time I did that 20-minute riff on Filoni.
Oh my God.
And we didn't have it wasn't recording. But this is back in the day when it was, StreamYard didn't exist. When you recorded a video chat, they're only video chats.
Yeah, on Skype.
Yeah. And so you had to figure out different programs to record Skype. And a lot of the cheap ones, were little they were fidgety. They glitched a lot, so it was no one's fault really. Or sometimes we record one, it just wasn't getting the sound or the picture right. Everything was off. I remember we did a whole episode one time.
Another legendary moment was the time Edward didn't know Leland Chee's name and said, "You obviously haven't heard of Chile."
Chile.
Yeah.
Chile. He kept saying it over and over again. What was I know there was another one.
I can tell you.
Edward's mom came in screaming at him because he didn't clean up his room or something. I don't remember what it was. And then Tim's like, "Will you put your blanking mic on mute? I don't want to hear your mama come in here." And that was all part of the podcast. It didn't get edited out. It was Edward. Mom kept yelling. I was like, "Okay, Mom, okay, hold on. I'm on a podcast with you. I can't." And Tim's like, "Shut up. Hit mute. Put your mic on mute." There's so many good moments.
Those old videos are going to get like 50 more views by tomorrow.
No, I don't even know if that one's out there, but I mean, it was like, if you want to see a podcast that talks about nothing, we attempt to talk about the EU and it just totally degrades into a shouting match or my favorite, to be honest, my favorite Son of Luke is probably when Edward at the very end goes, because we're about to say, "Okay, guys, we'll see you next time on the Minox Nest." Guys, Robert Williams just died. And that's how the podcast ended, I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was something like that, yeah.
It was like, what is he talking about? Because I remember we were trying to end it then. Shoot, I remember exactly where I was when we recorded that, too. I was at the beach house. Because y'all wanted to do one. I was at the beach. I don't know how much my internet will be. But, there goes Tristan, just like that. Exactly. And the thing is, no one was listening to what anyone was saying at any time. And half the time, Daniel didn't know who was talking when. He just come on in and start talking. They were horrible. They were horrible podcasts. No one should love them. But like I said, it was a lot of good memories. And then Josie was there'd be so much background noise.
Yeah, because she would. So Josie didn't have internet in her home. She would have to go to a McDonald's or a Burger King and get the free Wi-Fi. And eventually she figured out, I can still get the free Wi-Fi in my car. So she'd be in the parking lot of a McDonald's in a car. But then, like, the McDonald's would close at, like, 2 a.m. So, like, we would have after calls. We would have after calls that would go on for hours after these podcasts, right? She would be in the car, in the McDonald's parking lot in, like, the rural South, just like talking with us until for like 2 hours until the Wi-Fi cut out, and then she would drive home. And like we'd be like, Josie, what are you doing?
And there'd be so much noise going on, and Tim would get so mad at her. It was just chaotic. I just sat there like this the whole time, going, "Oh, why do I keep coming back for these?"
Because it was fun. Like I said, it was fun. The entertaining aspect was back then. No one had friends in their like real life circles that they could actually talk Star Wars with. So like it was just being able to like hear people talk Star Wars with each other, even if it was incoherent and they were yelling at each other the whole time, was so fun.
I mean, that's exactly right. There were so few Star Wars EU podcasts at that time, and I only listened to maybe a couple episodes. I don't remember all the craziness that you guys are describing, but there was like Jedi Journals at theforce.net. There was a couple others, and I listened to all of them. You know,
that's another good one because they talked. The Minox Nest also covered a lot of the dramas that were going on at the time, so it's a good I'm echoing somewhere.
So do you remember this one, Tristan? We hear police sirens in the background. I said, Tristan, you're right. It's here.
I do remember that.
Yeah. If I recall, that's not an episode that should be existing on the internet either. But yeah, there was a lot of fun times on that one. But the thing is, I don't think the podcasts were that good. I mean, they're funny now that we talk about it, Scott. But I mean, I wouldn't listen. I mean, I kind of would listen to those again just to hear it. But I didn't think it was like I was shocked that people listened to that because it just wasn't. It was just all over the place. Well, the thing like Dylan said, there's a type of charm there. You know, I guess I get that. But.
There were so few of them. I mean, if you search like on iTunes or whatever podcast catcher you got, you search Star Wars EU or Expanded Universe, you only got a couple hits.
Yeah, way back in the day. You remember there was John Tuttle.
I mean,
never knew what happened. Was that the other? Was that him? Yeah.
No, it was Sadler. Sadler.
John Sadler.
Yeah, because we kept confusing you two.
I'm sorry, John Sadler. That's who it was. And there was a bunch of other people too, like the old people that used to. Remember that guy Anthony who knew all about X-wings and the ins and outs of starships? He passed away.
Licardi,
yeah. I was at Dragon Con when I heard that. But I'm just trying to think of those, that first wave of people. A lot of them aren't around anymore. Those early reviewers and stuff like that, because it was very rare. Like Scott said, I would go on Expanded Universe. I just didn't hear anyone defending the Expanded Universe. No one was even making videos. But I heard a lot of people saying it was never considered canon. It wasn't even in continuity with one another. Everything was in contrast. It was all a big mess. I was like, no, it wasn't. This is all a lie. And now I did listen to Nathan Butler, and he did nothing. He waved the white flag when Disney took over. Says, "Hey, I'm because I remember he was doing the reviews in publication order, and I was watching that series, loving it. And then he decided that he was going to stop after he was halfway into the Timothy Zahn trilogy, and he said, "Hey, guys, I'm just going to do the last one here, and then I'm stopping this. I'm going to do new book reviews." It's like, what? And he just totally abandoned the EU like that, as did theforce.net, as did everyone. Like overnight, whatever Lucasfilm said, they said, "Okay, we'll dump it," and they just dumped the EU like a hot potato. I was like, what? And so that's when I started making my videos. And Tristan was the first person that I remember who was watching me, because I didn't know it, but I watched one of his videos, and he was like, this, and he, oh yeah, and there's this guy called Matt Wilkins, and you should check him out because he says this. And I was like, what? What did you say? I didn't know anyone was watching me back in that day. I had like 30-something subs. and I brought it in to the bedroom. I said, Megan, listen to this. And I played the clip, and she went, "How does he know who you are?" I said, "I don't know."
You're definitely right that everybody jumped ship after the buyout and after it became apparent that the EU was going away. I mean, Club Jade, the Force.net,
Yes.
everybody was trying to get in good with Lucasfilm and be like the site that had all the news. And unfortunately, they didn't know it was going to all collapse and the new stuff wouldn't be good, and it wouldn't catch on. But there was a mad rush to get in with Lucasfilm and their good graces and that.
And
but there was a period of time, just real quick. You mentioned Nathan P. Butler was doing that series in publication order on YouTube. Well, prior to that, I'm talking like 2009 up until like 2013, 2014, at the very end. Star Wars Beyond the Films, that is an absolute gem of a Star Wars podcast from that period only. Because like you said, he did kind of bail on EU and go to New Canon.
Yes.
But for those couple of years when he reviewed those, they're podcasts only, they're not on YouTube. Those are just a work of art. It's two guys. It's him and Mark Herleman talking Star Wars.
I remember those.
And those are so great. They're so in depth. They're so detailed. I would highly recommend going back to listen to a lot of those.
Yeah.
I was going to say a great one, Minox Nest. I don't know if it's still out there, if you can find it, but the one that came out immediately after the Force.net article came out, I remember being really good.
Which one was that one? Was that the one where they actually dropped me by name?
Yeah, that was the one where they dropped all of us. Like they had a bunch of quotes from all of us, and like they just took us completely out of context.
Yeah, and like most of the comments weren't really that bad from what I saw. It was just him trying to write a little hit piece on us. What's his name?
Eric Geller.
That guy, yeah. Oh, what about the guy? I believe Chris was his name. He had a podcast. I remember he talked to Tim, and then Tim was like, he said something about how this dude was like falling asleep on his stream or whatever, and then somebody cried out, "Oh, we're losing viewers! We're losing viewers!"
I don't remember.
I don't know. He was a weird character, but
I don't remember him.
Chris, I remember you talked to him. He was like being a Disney fanboy, but trying to, I don't know, for whatever reason, kind of have this weird battle with us.
Oh
man, there's so many people from that. Oh, remember Swag 77?
Oh yeah, they were. That was a weird one.
Yeah.
Minox Nest is also just great. The random beefs we had with like different members of the fandoms at that time. Like the monthly drama of like, so this fan group hates us now.
Oh yeah.
Swag 77.
There was some girl that you got in a fight about. Who didn't like it. I remember that now.
I remember it. I can't remember exactly what it was over, but I think, weren't they trying to promote the
No, I like well, she said this, and that. And I said, and what'd you say, Tristan? And Tristan goes, I called her a bitch. That was Tristan's comeback.
Well, that's getting clipped, I think.
All right, so before this gets taken out of context, it wasn't exactly that, but it's kind of a oversimplification of what happened.
Oh, I remember that's what you said. I started laughing. I said, that's what it was. That's what you said. He said, well, she did this and that and blah blah blah. I do remember that.
I don't remember.
It was fun.
I remember walking up to their booth at Celebration Anaheim and like just having a conversation with the guy who was there, who looking back on it had no idea of like what was happening, but it was still just kind of feel him out, and it's like, so like you also hate us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, didn't Swag 77 have a booth or something at one of those cons?
Yeah, they had one in
Swag
Anaheim.
77. Oh yeah.
They had one at Anaheim. I don't know if they had one at Chicago or Orlando.
Oh, I know what we talked about. We talked about the Del Rey paying people for good reviews.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they were involved in.
I remember that now. And I was like, wait a minute. So they're bribing people.
Okay, so that's a fascinating aspect of the history of the EU, because that was going on. That program started in 2011. I want to 2011, 2012 is when they originally rolled that out. So, in my EU by the Numbers series, right, when I'm going over like author like reviews, any review that came out after in 2011 or later, you have to take in a grain of salt that Del Rey had a rewards program of read books, write good reviews about them, and get merch.
Right,
So
good reviews. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything from, I believe they took down the I believe it lasted from 2011 to 2016. Any books in that era that have high reviews, take with a grain of salt.
But Kenobi was released around that time, right?
Yeah, it was.
What
Kenobi, Plagueis.
What was the swag that they gave out? I know it was the Crate Dragon keychain.
That was one. They had like bookmarks. They had I think you could even get books from it if you score. It was like a I believe it worked on like a bounty system or like a point system where like you'd get X amount of points and then you could redeem points for like different things.
Yeah, because I remember they announced it, but it was only for a short period and then it ended. So
it went on for about 4 or 5 years, I want to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it was the end of the EU era and the beginning of the Disney canon era. It got taken down, I want to say, around the time Aftermath came out. Which is interesting.
Yeah. Dude, do you remember whenever Chuck Wendig and Tim got into it directly on Twitter?
Which time?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that it just became a thing.
Well, Chuck Wendig would fight with anyone on Twitter.
That is true. But it just surprised me whenever Tim got a response from him.
This wasn't
Minox. Chuck Wendig blocked me when I asked why his mouth was wide open in every picture of him. I was like, what are you waiting for, sir?
I've said this so many times. I have, for meme-making purposes, tried to find images of Chuck Wendig of him just looking normal, so I can actually have more nuanced reaction images, and they don't exist. He can't take a normal photograph of himself. He has to be looking evil or weird in some way.
Or holding a coffee cup.
Yeah, probably overconsumption of soy. That's what happened there.
He's kind of gone now, though. He had a political meltdown on Twitter, and then he kind of, I think Marvel kind of fired him. Was that it?
Yeah, the last I heard from Chuck Wendig was he was involved in the Disney Must Pay thing. He wasn't getting royalties from Marvel for the comics he wrote. Allegedly, I don't know. I don't know if it ever got resolved, but that's the last I heard of him.
Well, someone bought his comics. That's surprising.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, I believe he wrote a free comic book day comic as around that era. So,
did he now?
People weren't buying that one.
The TIE Fighter wibbles and wobbles.
Yeah,
I remember we talked about that. I think space diapers.
Oh, he did. People who are in the new canon will know this. He wrote a Darth Vader annual, I want to say, that severely crippled the lore, and that was the start of the whole the story group doesn't really care about canon thing, because he overwrote something. I forgot where, but he overwrote something in the Darth Vader annual.
The story group has given up. Matt Smith said, canon is what you make of it personally. It's just they've given up.
I thought he was scheduled to write the comic version of one of the films, one of the like Disney Star Wars films. But he might have got fired before he was supposed to do that.
He was scheduled for something, and he did get fired. And then, like, months later, when like that thing actually came announced, he like replied to it on Twitter saying like, "Yeah, this was the thing I was supposed to write before they got fired."
Woulda, shoulda, coulda, pal.
I remember going back to that era. This was before Aftermath came out. It was on one of the Facebook groups, actually. I remember. We were talking about how like Disney wasn't using the old writers anymore, and they've got like Kevin here writing this this book about Luke Skywalker, and they got this other guy, Chuck Wendig, I never heard about, writing like what's supposed to be like the in between books between like the episode 6 and 7, and everyone in that I remember everyone in that thread being like, who is Chuck Wendig? And like, oh man, if only we could return to that day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for real.
Well, the thing is, they hyped it up so much, and it was a load of nothing. You know, it was the journey to the Force Awakens or whatever it was. And I think, you know, the first couple books, you know, Tarkin, James Luceno, John Jackson Miller with A New Dawn, they weren't like horrible. I think it was definitely a step down from the EU. But then once Aftermath hit and people didn't like it, I think it was a sunk ship after that. That was the final nail on the coffin.
That era is interesting.
Tarkin was supposed to be an EU novel, but then Disney bought Star Wars, so they rewrote it, right?
Well, he made edits. He had it pretty much all written, and then he went back and made edits. But some of the EU stuff is still there, like the Battle of Marcana and the Jedi that participated in it. That all ties into Dark Lord: Rise of Darth Vader. But then Tarkin's backstory got changed because he had to change something to let people know it wasn't expanded universe.
So the first 5 EU books of the Disney EU books, they were all either books that were supposed to originally be EU books, or they were from open contracts, because Tarkin was supposed to be an EU novel. Heir to the Jedi was supposed to be the 3rd novel in the Empire and Rebellion, following Razor's Edge and Honor Among Thieves. Lords of the Sith, I believe, was also supposed to be a EU novel, and then Dark Disciple was the contract that was originally supposed to be Sword of the Jedi, because they had already like paid her like up front for that, and like because it got canceled, they had her instead write Dark Disciple. The only one that doesn't fit with that is A New Dawn, which was the first one. I don't know what that was supposed to be, or what John Jackson Miller was supposed to be writing. And with how quickly it came out, because it was the literal first one, so that one's iffy on what it was.
Rebels initially at its earliest stages was supposed to be EU, but after the buyout, they decided to revamp it. I don't know when A New Dawn was written. It's possible, even though Tarkin got released after, James might have written Tarkin before that. Who knows? But it seems like if you read Tarkin, that's the book that is closest to EU.
So I'm pretty sure Luceno is on record in saying that he had to rewrite parts of it after the decanonization happened.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed about Rebels when they introduce Ezra, when he's running through the market, being chased by the Imperials? That's exactly how Wedge's story starts, isn't it?
Is it?
In the X-Wing comics, you get to see when he was younger, right?
Well, he's at the refueling station, right? His parents.
Yeah, so maybe Rebels was supposed to feature Wedge, and they just changed it.
Well, Wedge shows up in Rebels. I know. I've seen that Wedge and the 3D. I've seen an image of Wedge Antilles in the Rebels art style, so I know he shows up at some point in the show.
Yeah, he's a TIE fighter pilot that defects. They wrecked him, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Rebels does pick off a lot of EU lore. They use Thrawn, so yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, On that note, I'm going to go ahead and end. Getting a little late
Okay.
for me, but I want to thank people I haven't seen. Well, besides Scott, people I haven't seen in a while. Dylan, thanks for not ignoring me. Steve, I'm very happy to have you on. I haven't had you on forever, so thanks for coming
Oh,
on.
always fun to be on with you and all the other great people. So thank you for inviting me.
Well, it is really special to have you on. I haven't seen you in a while. And Tristan, wow. Wow. So anyway, thanks guys for hanging on. This was a lot of fun. It was a fun night. And we will see you later. Take care.
See you.